Hi, we're acquainted in Curious Volumes. My name is James. Today is Thursday, and that's a Poetry Thursday for me. I'm going to read you a poem by Philip Levine from his book, The Simple Truth. Um, and this poem is actually the first poem in the book. It's called On the Meeting of Garcia Lorca and Hart Crane. Probably viewers of this channel know who those figures are, but just in brief, Hart Crane was a famous American poet in the early part of the 20th century. And a relevant piece of trivia about him is that he died in 1932, a suicide. He was on a steamship traveling from Veracruz to New York, and he committed suicide by jumping overboard. Garcia Lorca was a Spanish poet from the southern region of Spain called Andalusia. And he was briefly in New York in 1929. He traveled there with his family and studied English at Columbia University. It's said that he never really learned the language very well, but he did produce a great book of poems called Poet in New York, or Poeta en Nueva York, which contains some surreal poetry. Before he had traveled to America, Lorca associated with the poets, with the surrealists like Dali and Buñuel, people like that. And then after his time in New York, he returned to Spain. If you know anything about the early 20th century in Spain, there was a civil war that started in the 30s, and Lorca was killed by fascists in 1936. So here is Philip Levine's poem on the meeting of Garcia Lorca and Hart Crane. Brooklyn, 1929. Of course, Crane's been drinking and has no idea who this curious Andalusian is, unable even to speak the language of poetry. The young man who brought them together knows both Spanish and English, but he has a headache from jumping back and forth from one language to another. For a moment's relief, he goes to the window to look down on the East River, darkening below as early night comes on. Something flashes across his sight, a double vision of such horror he has to slap both his hands across his mouth to keep from screaming. Let's not be frivolous. Let's not pretend the two poets gave each other wisdom or love or even a good time. Let's not invent a dialogue of such eloquence that even the ants in your own house won't forget it. The two greatest poetic geniuses alive meet, and what happens? A vision comes to an ordinary man staring at a filthy river. Have you ever had a vision? Have you ever shaken your head to pieces and jerked back at the image of your young son falling through open space, not from the stern of a ship bound from Veracruz to New York, but from the roof of the building he works on? Have you risen from bed to pace until dawn to beg a merciless God to take these pictures away? Oh yes. Let's bless the imagination. It gives us myths we live by. Let's bless the visionary power of the human, the only animal that's got it. Bless the exact image of your father dead and mine dead. Bless the images that stalk the corners of our sight and will not let go. The young man was my cousin, Arthur Lieberman, then a language student at Columbia, who told me all this before he died quietly in his sleep in 1983, in a hotel in Perugia. A good man, Arthur. He survived graduate school, later came home to Detroit and sold pianos right through the Depression. He loaned my brother a used one to compose his hideous songs on, which Arthur thought were genius. What an imagination Arthur had. Thanks for watching. If you're curious about Hart Crane or Garcia Lorca, there's plenty of stuff on YouTube by them. Philip Levine, I think he's probably passed by now. I should look it up. Maybe do some research before you do a Poetry Thursday sometime, James, for a change. Anyway, it's a great book of poems. Thanks for watching. Bye.